Hey guys, so I wanted to do a dragon shapeshifter. It's been a long while since I did one of these, so let's just get started into it. His name is Virgil, and he is a Chinese dragon, so long, and he's very, like, supposed to be this regal shapeshifter. I wanted it to be more so that his skin color looked more human rather than my other dragon shapeshifters, which they look more kind of like dragons still. Like, if you've seen my other ones in my drawings playlist, you'll know that a lot of my dragon shapeshifters end up having like inhuman colors on their body for their skin color just because they are dragons. So I made this one, I made Virgil into like this high powered, like, type of dragon. So he has like more power level, so that way he can look more human rather than appear more like a dragon. He still has his dragon horns and his tail. However, his skin color is more like a person, so he can blend in better with people. Um, so yeah. For the pose, I was going off of this reference which I saw of Alhaitham from Genshin. Someone drew fan art of him where he was like listening to his headphones and then his like hands were up like that. So I decided to do that. I think I messed up the hands quite a bit because honestly, it was a really difficult pose with the hands. So I still need to practice my hands better. But anyways, the right hand looks fine. It's the left hand that kind of gets me. It really kind of bothers me. I don't know why, but I just kept it the way that it is because I think that's the best I'm gonna get it to be for now, unless I practice more hand drawings. So yeah. For Virgil, I wanted to do like a short haircut. I didn't want to do like super long. I know I've been drawing a lot of male characters with like super long hair, so I decided to do this one with more of a like a shorter hairstyle, I would say. And then here I am just coloring in his like all his lips and like his facial features and like also his skin tone. I just needed to shade everything in. I liked how his hair turned out. I normally don't draw like shorter hairstyles nowadays, so this was kind of more of an improvement like on short hair. However, I did draw the hair like after I drew like the base of the body, which means that the hands kind of messed me up in some places. So I feel like some places on the side of the hair look a bit flat, even though they're not supposed to. And that's just because I drew the hands first. So I made it that his like tail kind of fades from like a skin tone color to his actual tail. So that's what you're seeing here. And then I'm just shading in his blush and like his lips. I was kind of wanting to give him an actual like, what is it, dragon teeth, but I thought it was kind of something that I normally go to, so I wanted to look more human rather than dragon, like kind of keep away from the animalistic stuff that I would normally do, so this is more like human based. For his eyes, I decided not to do like black pupils, so I literally colored them in gray and then I colored like the pupil parts to be more like this light blue color, and then I'll add highlights at the end. His hair, I wanted to be white, and so I'm shading it in with gray. And then later on, I do add like light blue highlights. I think this looks really pretty. I wanted something to match his horns. So for his horns and his tail, I wanted them also to be white and then shaded in with like some highlights of blue. So this is exactly what I'm doing for his hair. I do kind of use a little bit of a different blue for his horns and ear and tail. Horns and tail, I can't speak. But yeah, basically it's similar to his hair, and I ended up not giving him regular human ears. So reptiles normally have ears that are like internal and like well, all ears are technically internal, I would say, but more so humans like have more external ears, like you can see the ear physically. As for like reptiles like snakes and dragons, it's more so just like this hole on the side of their head. So I kind of did that instead, where you don't see anything, but there's a hole there. So yeah, I decided to, even though I wanted him to look more human, there were some features for like the reptile design of being a dragon that I kept. So that's one of those things that I just kept. Normally I do draw ears on some of the shapeshifters too, so I thought this time I would just skip the ears and just have it that the hair is super flowy. I thought it would be really pretty. For the outfit itself, here's the thing. I really wanted to draw like a Chinese traditional outfit because he is a dragon, but at the same time, I also wanted to do collared shirts. I'm very like into like collared shirts. Like I normally make my male characters wear them. However, because I think I've been doing that so much lately, I thought why not mix traditional Chinese clothing with like actual Western clothing, which is modern, which is the collared shirt. So I kind of looked at some inspiration of some animes that I've been seeing, like Chinese animes, and I kind of layered like a short sleeve um version of the Chinese outfit onto the collared shirt, which is the base layer. So now you can see that it's a collared shirt underneath, and then he has more of a traditional outfit, like for Chinese outfit, like on top. Um, Typically Chinese outfits consist of like a lot of layers, like the traditional outfits. So this is what I was going for. For his shirt, I was going to keep it white. However, I don't know. There's a lot of white in this drawing. So what I ended up doing was I shaded in the collared shirt part gray. And then for the actual like Chinese robe on top, I shaded it in orange. I know it's kind of weird. I don't know how I feel about like this mixture of colors because I just mixed like some warm colors with like cool colors, and I originally just wanted to do more cool colors for this entire like drawing where it was just mainly white, gray, and like blue, but I decided to put orange because I thought it would add some more depth to it rather than just coloring it in. Um, Shading it in gray and then having everything be white the entire time. So yeah. I also gave him like that belt that they wear for like the traditional Chinese clothing. I wanted to go with that so that way it looks a bit more traditional. He's supposed to be a more like regal character, so I wanted him to be more fancy compared to other characters that I've drawn. Um, But yeah, this is kind of new, mixing the clothing together. Normally, I've never seen this before, so yeah, but normally when it comes to like Chinese like shows and stuff, it's either you're going for traditional or modern clothing, and that's basically it. There's not really like, I don't know. I've never seen like a mix in between, so I wanted to try it out and see how it looked. So here I am coloring in the belt part. I really like the Chinese traditional belts, honestly. They're like super big, and then sometimes they have like some extra cloth in the front or the back. So I kind of highlighted the outfit with like darker blues. I originally was gonna use like lighter blues, but I thought the darker blues would just go well with the orange since the orange is like a more darker color than the rest of the outfit. And then he has like this um ribbon thing that he ties. Sometimes they have like these tassels, but for this one I really wanted to do just like this blue ribbon on it, which is tied to his belt. And then I decided so this is the part that I forgot to color in. It's the back side of like his robe. Literally, like, because you can see the robe between his pants. I had to shade that in. I forgot completely. And then, so that was me coloring in the orange. And then for the actual full, like, belt, I decided to make it light purple. Originally, I was gonna make it another blue or something, but then I was like, I don't know, I don't want too much of like one color, so I decided to make it purple. It's like a very muted purple, so it's okay. It's not like super, it doesn't look like I'm adding too much color. I feel like sometimes if you put too much color, it might get like confusing for the eye. Also, it might not look that good, so I'm trying my best not to add way too much. Um, so yeah. Okay, and so for his horns and tail, as I said before, it's the same like mix in terms of like the white, the gray, and the white and the blue. This time I use a more greenish blue for his horn and tail, and then for his tail fluff, I actually use a more like actual blue. Um, the reason why I did this was because I want the horns to actually match more of like his eyes, which are more of like this greenish blue. As for like the hair, I wanted to match the like fluff of the tail as well, so that's why I made it like a like more regular blue color. And then it's outlining time. So because there's a lot of white elements to this drawing, I ended up outlining quite a bit. It wasn't something that I could just be like, okay, I'll let like, the colors block out the difference of like each section. So because there's white, I had to outline it, or else you're gonna see it like against the paper and it's gonna be really hard to tell like where his like body parts start and where they end when it comes to like the paper itself, because don't want it to be like sketched out like that. I would say his hair still turned out like pretty fluffy, so it was kind of a good hairstyle that I chose. It matches like his tail, so that's kind of what I wanted. And then I'm outlining his face. I really like these eyes. I tried to go with more of like a side glance, which I saw in the reference that I was using for the pose. Honestly, I normally don't do that much like character like, oh, they're looking off to the side like that. So I thought that would add more like some characteristics to it, like personality to the drawing, I would say. The hands still kind of bother me a little bit, but I think that's just me. I'm normally not a perfectionist when it comes to things. I feel like for the hands though, sometimes they just get to me because there's a lot that can be messed up easily on hands, and the poses kind of make it difficult to draw. Sometimes it looks like it's really weird when you're drawing specific poses and your mind can't think of like how to fix it. I think it looks similar to the reference I was using. I'm just being like really picky for some reason when I look at this, because it slightly looks off, so it looks a bit weird to me because I've never drawn like hands in this type of pose. So if you guys want to see like my other dragon shapeshifters, they will be in my drawings playlist. There's a whole bunch of videos there you can check out. I have a whole bunch of dragon shapeshifters. If you have any ideas or you want me to see me draw like any like requests, like specific characters that you like from video games or like anime, manga, um, shows, movies, that type of thing, you can also leave a comment in the comment section down below and let me know. Any like ideas for dragon shapeshifters, let me know as well. I'll definitely look into those. And yeah, that's basically it for this drawing. I think it turned out really nice. He's supposed to be like this more regal character that has more power than other people, so that's why he's like a shapeshifter that looks like a person rather than just a straight up dragon. But I do love the tail and the horn, so that's why I had to include those. It's not something that I can just take away from them being dragons. So yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll leave a link in the comment section down below, like in the description box, so that way you guys can check out like my process work. It will all be in my social media, like my Instagram, my Facebook, and my Twitter. I'll post those there eventually. I have a lot that I need to be posting right now, so yeah. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Again, if you have any requests for any specific characters and stuff like that, I'll definitely look into drawing those. I'm trying my best to do more drawing videos at this moment because literally I've been like trying to save money, so I'm trying to do less haul videos, but we'll see how that goes. It does take a while to do drawings though, so sometimes it's hard to find time to draw, so I'll see how it goes during this summer. And that's basically it. And I'm outlining his horns. And then I add a little bit of like the highlights for his eyes. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Bye!